Alright. That looks kind of weird. Shrink my little banner text here. Mm-hmm. Odd. 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 Yes, let's Windows update in the middle of a stream. Wise. Oh, wise and powerful Windows. Alright. It's actually working now. I think so. I think maybe we are good to go. Which is good, because we've got things to do. Got a lot to do. Let's go to the Deep Space Gateway around Minmus. Let's have some Minmus fun. This vehicle should be able to return itself as is. Fill at least its two main mono. Just to make sure it's able to dock with Jebediah Kerman Station successfully on its return. Yes, there's a lot of Delta V left, so this shouldn't be a problem at all. Our replacement lander is actually already ready for capture. We got a little bit of logistical timing here we need to kind of figure. So in 21 minutes, we'll have our return. Our return burn. Transcarbon burn is the other way you can say that. This, I was supposed to eject this damn thing long ago. which is annoying. I forget to do that every time. Oh, that's true. It is on a free return at the moment. Increase the height of the periapse. So we actually want it to go prograde? On these late burns. That means that our lower stage here to eject itself in the prograde direction. And actually, we're going to wait to make sure that that maneuver actually does what I want it to do. Just debating now if I'm actually going to need to use both of these. It seems like that's a lot of... Yeah, we don't want to go that far. Anything more than 46 meters per second. Would start working on a retrograde orbit to do. But 4 of those engines up top, possibly 2 more. Meters per second. So yeah, we actually want to do to be in the right ballpark. Make it just 2 retrofire engines opposite each other. So that's at least all planned out. Let's go back to our gateway. K-15G1 refueler. Just currently drifting slowly away from the station. It's coming up on maneuver. chat is down. Why is my chat down? Just getting ready to fire our main engine. Returning our module transfer vehicle back to Kerbin. So the next time we need a module brought up the Minmus station, we can use this. I really should have just time warped a little faster, I think. I was worried I was going to overshoot, but it's kind of taking forever. Alright, now, 2 seconds away from our maneuver node is where we're going to start to burn. Only a 4-second burn. That should do. Fueler is back on its way to Kerbin. Ask. Like this on this side. Rather than on the rear of the station. Ugh. Gross. I'm going to move that onto here. little bit of work to do. Well, we got a lot going on here. Let's just make this more difficult on me. Fast forward to this this lander's maneuver. I don't really see the need. I think what I need to do, looks view on the Mun, on Valentina Kerman Station. We need to bring the first half of our crew home from the Mun Station. Then send the transfer vehicle back unmanned to pick up the remainder. Try and move as much fuel as possible up. So that one is the only one that needs to be refilled. And I think what I'm going to do is return whatever fuel is left at the bottom section of the craft. And keep that on reserve at the station. To aid in its return journey. Since we'll need to come back and still pick up our other 4 scientists. Less fuel in this bottom section also means it'll be more efficient to transfer, because we'll be focusing on using the main engine here rather than the assist engine, which has a lower specific impulse. Alternatively, I could have this ship just nose around and pick up this 4-man crew module and take the whole team of 8 home all at once when they're done researching. Which, while tempting, is not the greatest idea, considering how much data and science they still have to process. should be leaving myself enough fuel here. At least that's what I'm hoping. Okay. I should represent a full crew. And full fuel for our return. Now the tricky part. Need both of these engines shut down. We need to activate this one, making sure we're at 0 throttle. And I'm going to ballpark this and hopefully get it pretty close to right. Ah, ours is off. God, why does it insist on doing that? Towards the station, which is less than ideal. Oh, what happened to the burn that I put on this, though? I did add a burn to this craft. Supposed to have one. Maybe I'm losing my mind. Now, inevitably, there's going to be a lot of wasted time on this burn. The reason we're going to have such wasted time is going to become apparent in fire. Oh, we're still pitching up. Okay. That's better. So a couple test fires just to get our... Since this is asymmetric, and as fuel is depleted, we do need to adjust. It's not the perfect design, but it's a good way to keep... I was feeling particularly cheap when I set this up. Nice and steady. Look at that. I don't know why I would need to make that correction. I think I'm good. Actually, I'm not. Let's just aim prograde. Let's do this the simple way. There it is. Alright. On an escape, back to Kerbin. First half of our Moon Expedition crew, along with our rescue, Desfin. We'll get them off the Jebediah station and Desfin back down to Kerbin at a minimum. Alright. Now to our lander. Should have its maneuver coming up shortly. Alright, so that transfer stage is going to now, hopefully, be on its way down to Kerbin. Which it most certainly is. It'll be smashing down into Kerbin after this Minmus encounter is complete. So it is definitely doing its job as intended. That is excellent. Now we need to worry about our own capture here into Minmus orbit. Whoa, boy, that was a lot. Try and do a simple rendezvous as possible. Oh. Oh, well, we're going... How are we going... in a retrograde orbit? That's interesting. Okie doke. Back the other way then. We'll just brake extra hard. Okay, if we could stop doing that now, that would be lovely. There we are. Very careful. Perfect. That It's literally perfect. That's a literal definition of the best we can do. It's wonderful. Not even any second burn. I am extremely excited for that one. Let's warp to the maneuver. Gonna have a 19-second burn. Oh yes, right, this is short field. That's problematic. Not have enough fuel to actually do our braking maneuver here. So, as perfect as it is, we might nevertheless end up without this at all where we wanted it to go. That's unfortunate. It's 9 seconds away. So we're going to do this burn. We're going to still try for it. Even if the chances are not wonderful in our favor here. Now this is the updated lander actually, so I do actually have RCS where it belongs, now that I think about it. So I could potentially salvage this with RCS. Potentially. This is going to be a little tough to exact out here. .2. We actually end up with a better intersect from accidental change there. So the relative speed, 30.5 meters per second. Actually, you know what? We might be okay. Just barely. Just the tiniest sliver of fuel. We might be okay. We'll have our prime lander at the Deep Space Gateway. So this is now a good 2 days, 4 hours away. Let's focus our attention to our rover. Where's Surveyor 2? Right here. .6% average. Okay. Oh, see, it's not even in a really good zone right now. How did I end up in a not good zone? So we actually want to go for these lakes down here, looks like. That's confusing. Okay, now this one's saying it's in a decent zone. What the? Oh, so red is probably high concentration. So that is actually probably where I want to go. Right there. If I could set a node, would be lovely. I don't think I have anything that can do that right now. So we're just going to head for those lake areas. Which this thing, I don't think can go very fast safely. So unfortunately, we might not be going very far. So I want to head towards the sun. That's what we want to do. Why is this not working? What am I doing wrong? Hibernate? Oh, yeah, it's on hibernate. Okay. Huh. Okay, little rover. A little more north, if I'm right. Oop, we hit a bump. We hit a bump. Okay. Oop, that is less than desirable. Okay. Alright. Thankfully this has been Minmus. I think I need to turn down like spring tension on these wheels. I don't think they need to necessarily spring it. So I'll turn the brakes on. Okay. Back up. What happened there? Acting a little quirky. I don't know what it's doing. Is it because I turned down the spring strength? Then we're strength up. Maybe that will work better for me. .04% ore. So that is actually better than the average for Minmus, according to that last scan there. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best weak concentrations. So we can get going a little faster. Which I know is asking for trouble, but... So we want to get down into this lake bed area. Which I wish I could set proper points for this, because I would want to go here and then go down this area here rather than one of these slopes might be more... And because Stewie plays video games like it's a football game. All right. That was a... Map out our optimal landing zone here. We did just pass over a concentration slightly, ever so slightly higher than the rest of this plateau here, this bluff or whatever you want to call it. And we are starting to go quite fast. We seem to have pretty good control, so... Don't have options to use these thrusters as RCS, unfortunately. Just yaw, pitch, and roll. I was hoping for direct translation, as then we could basically get power jumps out of it. Which we still kind of can, because we don't need to hit the shift key ever. Yeah, let's screw it, let's activate them. If at any point we need to make a hop, we can do it. Starting to look more like Space Engineer's vehicle rather than a Kerbal Space Program vehicle. Making good speed. Looks like we're still on the best course. I don't see any major aside from that giant ramp basically down to the ice. So that's where I was kind of thinking might be smarter. Although this actually, when you get there, doesn't look that steep. So more or less heading in the right direction. In fact, I think we are heading in the right direction. We are. Actually pick up the pace a little bit. And then when we get down to the ice, we should be on totally level surface. We should have a very easy time getting up to the concentrated zone, which is more off that away. First bit is getting us safely down to the ice. Just gradually applying motor. No idea what a safe speed to go is. I mean, at this point, we're heading towards like a orbital velocity for Minmus. Minmus. You could probably just make jumping cars that would get you into orbit pretty easily. Oh, speaking of jumping cars. Oh, those. Okay, we only had 2 engines on. Need to correct. Don't hit the rock. Do not hit the rock. Okay. What did we lose? Apparently the rocks are not a problem. We lost 2 of our... Ooh. That's not good. We have significantly less electric charge then. And we don't have the engines to try and do a smooth landing anymore. So, unfortunately, I didn't realize the ground scatter is completely not real. You can just drive right through it. Or I would have completely... not worried and kept going and been totally fine. Unfortunately, we now have a crippled craft. Don't turtle. Whoa! What the heck was that? It's now spinning itself up for no apparent reason. Can we... Okay. So, yeah. We also lost some solar panels, actually. So this little guy's gotten kind of derpy. We will only be able to operate in direct sunlight from this point forward. And we will not have the luxury of using these engines to land safely. Oh, yeah. Steering does not work well with this rover, as I'm noticing. Oh. I'll look at it this way. What I should have been doing is going full. It wouldn't have been that bad. We would have hit this little piece of junk. Whoop. Okay. How does that instantly... Well. It's like it gets stuck in the ground. Alright, well this is going to get parked for a while. Unfortunately damaged. Kind of worthless at this point. We did make some serious ground, it looks like. But, you know, a little late. Little late. Now, these are gateways coming up on an ideal landing zone. So I'm going to try this first unmanned. Sure, this is full on fuel, which it's not. And just confirm our our design of landers is valid. Although this one, like I said, does lack the monoprop forward and back. Whereas the replacement on the way does not. Does have RCS in all 4 directions, though. Okay, so we want a very tight orbit. Ideally, we want to be landing right about there. Yes, indeed. Very Minmus. In fact, all the Minmus. A little more thrust capability. Let's get us down to maybe 12,000 meters. Then we will circularize, and I will this craft. Good lander, a lander that we'll actually be using as our prime lander on the way as well. To monitor that. It's about 2 days away. So now at Periapps, we're going to go ahead and try and level this out as well. Okay, that should be safe. Should be safe altitude. All right, now I want our target zone to be right here, so I'll have to figure when we get here, we'll have to burn up and increase our inclination. A little bit of retrograde too is a good idea. All right. So we're gonna have a 9-second burn. One minute. See if we can reduce that. 2-second burn. Focus on trying to land at full power. At least our rover, before it managed to blow up a little bit, just a little bit, at least it managed to help us figure out how to read the Minmus scan. I'm sure other people know it. I could have just asked, but, you know, rover. So, you know, kind of answers itself, doesn't it? One. We're kind of lagged there for a second. All right. We should now be going over the target zone that I was hoping for. Now, I do also need to check. We do have our refueler vehicle back on its way to an independent orbit, and we do have transfer vehicle. Yep, but they're still not even in their independent orbits yet, so we're good there. I can waste a little more time. Perhaps waste is the wrong phrase there. So we're gonna go to overshoot the good ways. Go for this ice patch. We're gonna go right there in the middle. We're gonna see if I can get some good ore density. We were bringing our rover there, but pardon. As I said, it is mostly blown up, partially blown up, slightly blown up, just slightly blown up. So there's our target zone down there. This is starting to look like something out of Space Engineers. Like right about here-ish. I want to go to like completely zero. Try to put us down right there. And because Minmus is wonderful and has very low gravity, this is not using very much fuel at all. So. Yep, going for the ice lake. So we did a little bit of a orbital scan for some rich areas. It seemed like we had two different color areas in our percentage range showing up. So the rover managed to investigate one of them and find it's not that concentrated. So I'm hoping then that this one that was over the lake was. The rover was going to investigate it, but it's, you know, slightly blown up. Slightly blown up. Unfortunately, this game doesn't like roving vehicles that much. It would have been better with a craft that actually lifts off and touches back down repetitively, which I might actually do. So our zone should be right in the middle of this, just about. We're gonna get us to a dead stop. Which, as expected, we did a little early, I think. Ah, we did alright. Ah, what I forgot to... What I forgot to worry about was the rotation of Minmus. Because Minmus does rotate under us. Although, slowly. Alright, back to putting us on course for the center of the lake. But again, primary goal here is just flight testing the lander. If we do manage to find ore, it'll be a benefit. We'll consider ourselves lucky, but that's it. I don't know. Let's see, curb net. Altitude is 0 meters. That is very helpful. Yep, it is reading correctly because it's reading the mountain over here. It's kind of cool. Good to know. Just a quick burn to slow us down a little bit. Okay, we are now in a very slow suicide burn, as I tend to do. We've actually used about half our fuel, which is amazing to me. So maybe this craft might be under-fueled to do mining work. And that might be concerning. Now, we do have monoprop, though. Where this craft doesn't have any forward or reverse monoprop, the Prime Lander does. Oh, our shadow disappeared. That's not good. It's not very helpful. Oh, there it is. Good thing you can get to orbit by farting. True. It is a pretty easy place to get to orbit with. However, if we're doing that with 2 huge ore canisters, that might be a bit of a challenge. Very cautious about our landing speed as well, because I do not know how these do exactly. Oop. Just a little bonk at the bottom there, a little boop. but that's cool. Deploy the drill. Ore rate, NA. Thermal efficiency, NA. Okay. Thermal efficiency is good. Doesn't seem to be having any problems with heat. Alright, we got a little miner going on. I don't know how efficient this is because it doesn't actually tell me. That would be too helpful. I mean, way too helpful here. Ore rate. So I need to know how that translates to percentage. Because the rover was in a kind of percentage. So this might be incredibly efficient. This might be incredibly inefficient for Minmus. So I'm going to do some science here. Just collect a couple things. So at least we'll get some science the first time around. Now, while that's mining, let's go back to Surveyor 2. Oh, that's not Surveyor 2. Surveyor 2. Redo the surface scan and see what area this falls in. Let's see if even my landing zone was close to where I intended. A little bit. We want to be closer to the land there. We're in that zone, kind of. Let's see if I can take back off and readjust for that. Only picked up a tiny amount of ore. Oh, so now it keeps it up. That's okay. That's cool. That's cool. So we want to head to... Right about there? Okay, yeah, we keep the rover our target. Quick jump. I foresee stranding this thing on the ground without enough fuel, but you know, things happen. we're actually pretty low to the ground. I should be more concerned than I am. I hope if I was on the right navigation thing too. At least I realized that before it was too late. That would have sucked. I was wondering why it wasn't lining up. Alright. New zone. Getting about the same ore rate. All that, it's getting about the same thing. It's pretty close to the desired zone as well. Looks like that's like the good spot to be in. I have no concept of what a good ore rate is. Does this have like a maximum ore rate? Are you aware that that is the least efficient way down? How do you mean? If you mean just jumping around the way I was doing and doing craziness, then absolutely yes. Yeah, the most efficient thing is always to do a suicide burn at the very last second. But I am not daring enough for that. The good ore rate is 1 above 0. That is also true. I will accept that answer as the professional answer. And we're going to move on to something else for just the moment. So the new lander is on the way to our Deep Space Gateway. I might take this opportunity to play around with the Deep Space Gateway a little bit. Rearrange it slightly. So let's go ahead and do that. I assume I was smart enough to leave my pilot. Yes, indeed. And I do have a source of RCS on this puppy. Of course I do. I've got a massive tank of RCS. Alright. Both those things are good. I'm going to reposition this onto here, so we have a little more balanced station structure. There we go, control from here. Alright, nice and easy. At 90 degrees from what I had expected. Scheme, so made a little bit of a goofer there, but not too bad. Good. Yeah, I've done a lot. That's for sure. A lot of content is what it is. A lot of it's dead airspace, honestly. So I don't know if I want to call it content. It's like time waiting for stuff to happen. But, yes. 53 days of streaming. We're not even that much further into the game itself. Only day 156 in Kerbin time. Okay, that looks pretty good. Looks very Mir-esque. Looks very, very much like Mir in a way. Haphazard solar panels. All 6 points being filled with a canister of some kind. But okay. Actually, I do time warp quite a bit. I'm just always dumbfounded with how much time ends up just being either mid-burn or trying to reposition for docking, that kind of thing. Let's see how our transfer vehicle's doing. Why is Minmus purple? Well, that's actually the survey scanner. Was putting an overlay on there. So I've got Surveyor 2 getting our latest readings on possible mineral deposits, or ore deposits, I should say. And that will be for us to mine and then refine as fuel in orbit, is the way I want to say that. Now I'm excited to get Desvin home, because Desvin will close out a contract. He was one of our rescues. And we are still not in independent orbit. So let's get that going. How do you have the overlay on? Oh, I can actually show you that. So let's focus back to Minmus. And let's look at this real quick. So, Surveyor 2, this guy right here. One of the things that makes that kind of nice is if you leave this setup on, and I'm going to show you the options, you can set the overlay with a cutoff, so you can show what your high concentrations are, or just any concentration. And you can even change the color scheme, and a heat map, which should tell you, in theory, where there's more to be had. And I've never actually seen this from, not sure on this heat map. If it says heat map green would be high concentration. I'm not sure, because if I go up, it tends to get rid of those. So I don't get how that cutoff system works exactly. I'm still learning that. I refuse to look at the wiki out of stubbornness. But the nice thing is if you then switch vehicles while that's on, or if you go to the map view, it does leave it as well, which I thought was pretty cool. And I would have had more fun setting up the rover to scan and get a better idea on the ground of what our best landing zones would be, but unfortunately it took a little bit of a nosedive and is semi-crippled. Semi-crippled. Could still kind of use it. Just still need to clean up this Orbiter 3. I'll have to send a probe out to deorbit that at some point. Okay, finally on independent Kerbin orbit. Set the space station as our target. Set up a maneuver. And let's try and make this easy. Aha. Okay. So we're going to make this into a rendezvous burn, as I am off to do. And we do these transfers. So I just need to change the radial. Okay, something just got really messed up. Ah, okay. Yep, That's cool. By cool, I mean highly annoying. We fall back into the moon's gravity well if we do that. So we're going to be waiting a minute. Until that gets out in front of the moon a little further. So since we're going to be waiting, and we're certainly going to be waiting for our refueling vehicle to get back to Kerbin, let's warp down and bring our good lander to Deep Space Gateway. And our last drop of fuel. Somehow the intersect on this has changed significantly. It's odd. When I left this, this had a 0.2 intersect, not a 1.2 intersect. Why, with RCS off, did that just choose RCS to aim? Yeah. Alright. Let's see if we can't correct this. RCS frustrates me sometimes. Okay, that part's good. Okay, we're making it a little better. Now it's bad again. It's gonna end up having to be an actual maneuver, and that's gonna frustrate me. Because we had a very good maneuver set up in the first place. Okay. Now, radial. Slightly less here, slightly more this way. Of course, because the gravity is so sensitive around Minmus, this is very hard to do. Any tiny adjustment this way or that way equals a very long distance away. This is the kind of blank space I meant. Maneuvers like this. 0.9 I think I might take. Just a little more this way. Hey, cat. My cat is too dumb to realize that there is multiple ways out of this room. What in the actual... Oh, that got all kinds of fucked up, didn't it? Okay. A little more. There's 9. Back this way a little bit. Come on. Come on. I'll spend the entire time waiting for this maneuver, just trying to tweak the maneuver. .8. Okay, there we go. .8. And then we do that and screw it up. So that's fine. We're going to keep the maneuver. We're going to just roll with it. We're going to let the computer try and calculate the difference here. Let the computer try and calculate my stupidity. Okay. So we just need a little puff of RCS. Oh, Minmus. Easy to land on because of the reduced gravity. However, one heck of a pain in the butt for orbital maneuvers. Doesn't help that I don't pay attention entirely. Okay. Okay. Maneuver's done. Still though. Really? More correction then. Fine. But I have to even adjust my RCS to be less powerful. Yes, I could always key into the time warp. I do like to precisely set where it's going to end up being. This is such a small maneuver that this doesn't even register. Is this serious? Okay, well, it was mostly... Well, if it's not even going to register the maneuver, then I'm just going to bullshit it. Damn it. Okay. Keep forgetting that we're in docking mode when I jump out of this. Okay. That part's corrected. Now, as I was. Right here. Okay, so that is the opposite of the desired effect, so therefore we need to go the opposite way. If only the maneuver node was not so insanely small that it doesn't register. You know what? Fine. 2.6. We're going to go with it. That's true. I could have put the maneuver closer. Oh, and somehow our inclination ended up goofed. No wonder I couldn't get that just right. Our inclination was originally dead on. Somehow, with all the random burns and random directions I was doing, that got messed up. Imagine that. Wow, that's fine. Turn our throttle way down. Okay, that should level us at least. And a descending node should be a little easier to maneuver. We'll do retrograde the target. Here we are, time warp. Time warp to our closest intersect. Okay. So we are station keeping how far away from the station now? Where is it even? There it is. 3 kilometers. Whatever. There we go. And that's just BSing it. Time warp our way in. Try not to time warp too fast so it doesn't go all wonky on us. Last thing I need is another Kraken strike on another space station. Enough of that. I had a Valentina Kerman station do some weird stuff back a few nights ago. A couple weeks ago now, actually, I think. All right. We now need to maneuver this under the lab to its proper docking port. Yeah, so right underneath this module here. Excellent. There we are. Docking mode. So we're going to go for this dock here. Maneuvered a little bit because we're heading for that radiator there. Don't want to hit the radiator. Okay. After all that mess, I actually made the docking look kind of smooth. It has some kind of auto strut on though, I think. The wobble seems to have stopped, so maybe not. Oh, yep, it does. Okay, good. Now auto strut's disabled. No craziness there. And we can now refuel it. Finally. I might go check on our lander. Still have to get the crew back to Curran from the moon. They're on their way, and I hopefully don't forget them. That would maybe be bad. How's our lander doing? Are you still doing stuff with the moon? Very little. I've got now only 4 scientists in orbit researching in the labs. One thing that I did find out that I did not originally know, you do get more science from a lab, from researching it, in the same sphere of influence you gathered the data in. So leaving them in orbit of the moon to research is the best option. So for now, I just took the other spare scientists, pilots, and the engineer off station, and they're on their way back. And this... How much ore have I actually gathered? Not very much. Not very much at all. So this will take a while. So yeah, let's focus on our transfer vehicle. We'll be doing a science landing very shortly onto Minmus. Probably tomorrow night. Alright, now this should be much easier to pull off. So we're going to bring this down to the correct altitude for Jebediah Kerman Station. Thereabouts. And then we'll adjust the radial. Very good. Play this little game back and forth again. I wish there's like a... Is there a way to make the controls not as sensitive, I wonder? And somehow, without changing the maneuver at all, just unselecting the target and reselecting it has completely changed the maneuver. Alright. Okay, cool. 2.9. 2.9 looks good. Of course, my mouse would find a wonderful time to act up and get the cable caught on something, which I better take care of now. Okay. Hello. We are having a lot of fun with our moon transfer vehicle and maneuver nodes today. Maneuver nodes have been the bane of my existence for this entire stream. Okay. Can we just... Sure, now it wants to go gently. Fine. Just gonna go with it. We'll position ourselves. And then time warp. So 17-second burn. So we're going to start at about 9 seconds out from the maneuver node. Or we could just overshoot it on the time warp. That's cool. It's getting a little tricky because with the extra fuel depletion, we now need to readjust the engines. So probably about 56 maybe. How does that ship work? Very careful adjustment. Very careful adjustment's the only answer I could give for that. points. Oh, and overshoot it, of course. Of course we'll overshoot it. Why not? Yeah, this might be one of my crazier contraptions. From this point on, being the original transfer vehicle, which I realized did not have enough capability. So I took to using the dorsal docking port as a extra fuel extra fuel tank edition. So there we go. There's our note. And our actual intersect 3.4. Okay. That's fine. So we need to make a descending node adjustment as we get closer anyway. So burning upwards to get us back to correct inclination. And some timing change. All right. 3 hours, 32 minutes. So we're going to time warp to that maneuver. It's going to be a very short maneuver. Which means I'm going to need to be tuning these engines significantly or else very carefully throttling into it. Which is probably going to be the latter. Because readjusting these engines is a pain. Now we still also have a transfer vehicle coming back from Minmus. That is for bringing modules out. It was actually originally a spare fuel tank on board Jebediah Kerman Station where we're heading now. Ended up just using that because it was one of the few remaining AJ-10 engines we had before the update pushed it to a later tech tree level that we do not have. So partial thrust. Boom. That should get us pretty close. Yep, still 0.1. So we're going to start tracking target and tracking retrograde to target. This is going to be a very, very fast burn. Very last minute. This is going to be more kind of what we're supposed to be doing at landing. And that is a suicide burn. And I don't use them on landing. It's precisely for that name, as it would suggest. Kind of dangerous if you don't do it right. So we got 824 meters per second of delta V to try and match. So I'm not going to bother trying to get this exact on the maneuver node. I just want to see how many seconds it is going to take to do 824 meters per second of delta V. So it's going to take us about 24 seconds or so, 25, 24 seconds. So I'm going to set on the maneuver node for our closest intersect. And about 12 seconds away from that is where I am going to start our burn. And that'll be to decelerate and match speed with the station. And then hopefully not smash into it. Smashing into it would be bad. So again, I'm going to rely on target tracking to do our actual aiming. Where is the station? Is it above us? Weird that I don't see it. Usually I can see it pretty early on. Hello. All right. So as I said, about 12 seconds out. Full throttle. As we rapidly approach the station. So getting very close very quickly. Oh, there's the loading, so it's going to lag for a second. We're going to overshoot it a little bit. So my timing was not very good. But we're still pretty close, actually. We're not too bad. About 1 kilometer. My suicide burn. It usually goes pretty smooth from orbit. I've done quite a few, at least on moon transfer. This one, for whatever reason, did not go so well. Though I'm willing to attribute at least some of that to the amount of lag and the fact that this craft was slowly steering itself to try and keep up with the changing fuel capacity. Usually I have the fuel balanced out, but in this case, for fuel efficiency, I just filled only the top section. So that might have been some part of it, probably a good part of it. As this burns fuel, this actually naturally needs to increase its thrust level to compensate. But this should do fine. We'll do a fairly rapid approach. Meters a second should do. Auto aim retrograde. And then we'll pick out definitely Dressfin, but 2 other Kerman as well. Take one of the capsules down to the surface and get our con. Suppose I could just send him in. I'm still not convinced, even with the setting for leveling up in flight. Don't level up slightly, landing again. Acknowledges the completion of their flight, and therefore their accomplishment. Vehicle in this, though. This is kind of a hodgepodge together kind of disaster that oddly functions quite well. All said and done. Although these engines will never be used again. These Cub engines. The 10 had a higher thrust and a higher impulse, so those were necessary for a while to compensate. Not anymore. Much easier approach this time, taking it nice and easy. A little time warp might even be in order. As much as I hate to time warp anywhere near a space station. Cue video of my original space station in 2014 blowing up with a hit time warp. This game's come a long way in 4 or 5 years, whatever it was. Alright, so docking port's over on this side. So we're gonna actually just start breaking now. Okay. Didn't quite do what I thought it was gonna do. I still have some pitch. Wow, this is grinding too. I'll try to do this correction. I'm gonna switch over to RCA. Why is this still nosing over? Come on. Come back. Come back. Come back. You're not that heavy of a craft. Okay. Now we're station keeping. So, of course, yeah, it's not really in good position. And rotating the station's probably not a great idea when it's all lopsided like this. Oh. I'm trying to aim at the station, but at the same time I'm switching over to docking mode, which was preset to linear, which would keep me from rotating. That's kind of something to look out for. Disabling the very action you're trying to do. And our reaction here. Okay, yep, there's our port. I can see it now, a little clearer. If I can click on it, I will be very happy. Where is it? Come on. There we go. Just a little more distance from the station as we approach. So I end up in front of that port rather than inside of it. So we can rotate and get this craft on the correct orientation. Back to its home dock. I was thinking about replacing this maybe with a nuclear-powered vessel. But, the thrust limits are on nuclear power. It's just crippling for anything that's going to have to go to Kerbin. I think you get about as much thrust as a spark engine. Okay, so I gotta make sure I go for this specific port. This is the only one that's, well, besides the one at the end of the adapter here, it's the only port that has the small size docking port. Specifically loaded to the station for this craft. Originally, this craft was going to dock with its what do you call it, nadir side port there. But when we needed the extra fuel on there, it's the only place that made sense, to me at least, to throw extra fuel and extra engine capacity. Fuel capacity on the nose. But and that'd be very wobbly. Getting us as lined up as I can. Okay. Let's do some rotation, get this lined up to the correct orientation. And then we'll work again on docking. So we don't have any solar panels clip anything unexpectedly. Because I know it works this way. That looks pretty well oriented. Back to linear, back to RCS. And towards the port a little bit. So we get that prograde marker that helps us adjust. Make sure we are moving in the correct alignment. So our target in between our prograde and our artificial horizon marker. We are, in fact, heading towards alignment. So normally I did have a spare fuel tank here. This was actually the clone of this one here that is now being used to transfer modules off to the Deep Space Gateway. Adjustments. Looking good. Now, one thing I've never done is just see how thing. I mean, we're just using the nav ball. This is a bad angle for the nav ball, though. I can kind of see. It is a little bit. It is a little bit insane. I feel extra confident after playing Mercury Go for launch. I feel like I know what I'm doing. Saved, resolved myself not to do any reverting in this career. Aside from glitches, I've allowed myself several glitches. I let myself reset. We look pretty good. Yeah, originally I was saying to myself, "Oh, I'm never gonna need to happens," but then a couple of glitches later, opinion anymore. And adjustments here. Looking good. Go a little right. Bingo. Not bad. Not bad at all. On that cap. Alright, now. One of the older ones that have the really loud, annoying engines on them. It's already been pre-measured for its fuel, although that is quite a lot. I don't think I need exactly all that to get me back down. I'm glad somebody's looked at the design of those windows. I think those are modeled after the actual Gemini windows, but they're quite... Alright, so I'm gonna pick one of these capsules now. Put some of our crew up. Now I should have an engineer, and the engineer is actually who I'm going to keep on station, because we currently don't have an engineer on board Jebediah Kerman Station, and that makes me cringe just a little bit. So Debdorf, our engineer. The longest stays in space of our crew right now, I think. She was actually on station here on Jebediah Kerman Station before we picked her up and brought her off to the moon. Then... Come on. Load it up. Tedman. Tedman back over. Target switching locked. Okay, I'm selecting the part. There you go. Okay, that was kind of strange. Make sure I've actually got all three of them on board here, which I do. Fully fueled model. I put them on the wrong one. Okay, that's fine. Let's pump out some of that fuel. I'm going to use the small tanks here to measure it out, because we definitely don't need full fuel to go in deorbit. Definitely no point in burning up good fuel in the atmosphere. I was starting to talk about it, but that game Mercury Go for Launch is a very good VR game. Anyone with VR, I recommend picking that up. Considering I think it's done by just one developer. I think it's literally just a one-man project. Any game where I can accidentally trigger the retro abort in orbit with a clipboard and then strand myself in orbit is a good game. I just relate that to what would probably happen if I was actually in one of those Mercury astronauts way back when. Hey look, the clipboard's spinning. Grab it. Oh, just in the retro pack. That's not good. Absolutely something that I would do. So when this is done transferring, I'm going to check just the amounts of monoprop I probably have on this vehicle, and I'm going to transfer that too, as boring as this is. And allow there to be very minimal fuel waste. And I did not realize I should not mess with in Mercury Go for launch is AC levels for the suit. So just a matter of changing the temperature, making it cool. Figured he's probably sweating his ass off, being the first man to ride on top of an Atlas. Well, don't do that. Because absolute humidity and electronics don't cooperate very stream. You know what? It's happened a lot on my stream. I don't know if it's because my absolutely shouldn't be. I've got the craziest upload speed I've ever seen on a residential. It could be that, or it could be who knows? Maybe someone's out there to get me. Maybe someone threw this guy. His con to someone else. Logical, business-wise. So I'm going to leave myself just a tiny bit of monoprop in this capsule. Oh, this is what let me. It's going to be one of those moments, you know, explodes. Hey, looking good. Now, I am going to apologize in advance, by the way, for everyone, because you can hear me all now. And I guess very far in advance for poor Captain America. These engines are going to get very loud, these 4 engines. I don't understand why the weakest engines in the game are the loudest, and why putting 4 of them on your craft somehow gives it this magical devil's resonance that just shatters eardrums. But it's gonna suck for a minute. As soon as I'm done transferring the last of this monoprop, we're disconnecting and we're heading down to Kerbin. Unless I feel like actually trying to hit KSC, which, yeah, couple hundred left. Yeah. I have a single monopropellant tank. That is going to be more than enough, but I am tired of transferring. So we're undocking the capsule. Activate our engines. Like a good safe separation. Boost it just a little bit. Make sure we clear everything. The main man on that and the 2 pilots behind him. They're just kind of like, you got it, buddy. Both pilots, but, you know, you're... I guess that's kind of what's going on. Ooh, we actually should be, like, deorbiting right now. Whoop, don't use the RCS for that, please. We need the RCS to maneuver out of the way. Okay, so RCS this way. Good. Now we're still aiming retrograde. So we're going to go to staging mode and full throttle. Using our RCS thrusters now for forward thrust as well. Just to burn through the last of the fuel. And we're probably going to tragically overshoot the KSC, but I don't really want to wait for a full orbit here, just to save a couple 100 credits. You can see it actually down there. That's our KSC right there. That's nowhere near where we're going to land. We're going to be probably on the... So I've actually taken to replacing these 4-engine configurations with these Spider engines. Now with the Spark model, I've actually just put 2 Spark engines on the new versions. Much faster and slightly more efficient. Well, there's our roll to indicate that we're going to a suborbital trajectory. We're now outside of the loading distance of the station, so we're going much faster. We passed the KSC. And this will be contract completion for rescuing Desfin. Desfin originally was stranded in orbit around the moon on a contract craft. The contract was actually to bring Desfin's craft back safely, and Desfin, and we've already brought the craft back. We actually dropped him off at the moon station for used a very dangerous vehicle, or dangerous-looking vehicle, to bring and land that safely. And now it's time for Desfin himself. Now, I used to worry about doing these very aggressive returns with these capsules, but I've since learned how insanely overpowered the ablator is in this game. In fact, in most cases, you probably want to decrease the ablator on your craft so you lighten it. There go the engines finally. A little bit of a time. Get us to where we're just about to hit the atmosphere. Oh yeah, we're way off from KSC. We're gonna pass over the to eject the capsule. That was dumb. Okay, there we go. Myself, but I did that kind of stupid. I shouldn't have aimed it off like that to eject the lower section. Actually, a bad idea with these because you have no eject that and you lose your reaction wheels. Yep, there goes the lower section. It's more or less subsided. Correct way. The weight, of course, being put at the bottom of the craft actually makes it enter heavy side down. Oh, that thing's really burning up. Nice stream of fire up there. Alright, I'll be able to... Drogue chutes will slow us down most of the way. 10,000 meters, I'll be able to deploy main chute. for all the chutes to fully deploy. Which I never liked the time warp. Makes me paranoid. Nice view of the moon. Right there. From here, very clearly. Might be on the other side. Main chute still has yet to open. Once that opens, I'll time warp it all the way down to touch down in the water. Again, I don't like time warp while it impacts the water. Anything that's has to calculate something, I feel like while you're time warping is a bad idea. So calculating the impact of a parachute opening, whether you touch down safely, I think are two things I don't want to ever time warp. Well, there's our lower stage. This is actually, part of it's actually still alive. Go back and recover whatever that is. That's kind of cool. And this is a fairly fast splashdown. Just under 9 meters per second. Which is faster than I recommend anyone watching set up their craft to do. Especially with 3 Kermit on board. But all ended well. Oh, I actually had the stream going longer than I thought I did. Yeah, we did not get very good money for that. Forgot how much these rancher modules actually cost, though, so that's pretty good. 2,300 funds. So, Esfin, advance to level 1. See, that's what I'm saying. I think they have to land. Alright. That's pretty decent. New orbital station around the moon. Hold on. I gotta read this contract. Port 19 Kerbals. Holy jeez. So it'd have to be a new station, so I can't use the old station parts at all, or it'll reject it. Have a facility that can support at least 19 Kerbals. Have a research lab. Fuel 7,500 units of electric charge. Maintain stability for 10 seconds. And put it in me. Wow. It gets me funds on advance. Yeah, it's huge. I'm trying to think how I'd do that. It's a 3-parter. I have to... Yeah. Hold on. I get 2 more. Yeah, okay. For the action, and liquid fuel would have to be on top of that. Would be a challenge. It's good reputation bonus, good funds. I forgot about Sentinel. I knew I was forgetting something. Let's go check on Sentinel. Of course, I should have named it so I can actually use it a little easier. Go in and do that. I also forgot about our moon, or our sun. Sat 2, I think. Sunset 2. Should have a maneuver coming up. Alright, now this little guy. altitude to be able to use this yet. Alright. Where's our pale blue dot? So if at all, we can use telescope at the sun. That's a bad idea. Burn out the optics. So flip that around. Flip that around. Can we do anything here? Hey! It's working! Alright. That's a good start. So that'll map some asteroids out. Which I think I could just leave it alone and let it do it. I'm not sure. I'm going to read up on the contract and see what the contract actually wants me to do as well. Also, cover that extra debris there. So the contract... Where is it? Bingo. It wants us to put it on a specific orbit. Okay, yeah, the mapping process will happen passively over a length of time as long as enough active sentinels are near the specified orbit. They do not need to be newly launched. You will receive progress notifications as suitable asteroids are mapped. Okay, so we actually need to get this in the correct orbit as well. I didn't catch that before. See if we can't figure that out. I do have another Sentinel out there as well. However, it is outside of communications range on that craft, I believe, at this point. That did not have the more advanced antennas that we have now. And by that I mean we had more advanced antennas, but I was too dumb to use them. That was poor planning. So, let's see what this desired orbit looks like. Ah, okay. Well, we actually get our perigee, which, considering I was just guessing that now. Pretty good. Or stage. Not that I think it's going to do me any good, because it's going to become space debris one way or off it goes. Odd that I decided to use a pair of... Are those spark engines, or are those... Those might be Terriers. They are Terriers. What the hell am I... Alright. A little more. Okay. So we will eventually get this on the correct orbit. Let me see, that would be our Sentinel-1. It is our now dead E. Where is our sun satellite? Is this a soundstage in California? Unfortunately, I think you're thinking of the one in Nevada. I think you've got your stuff all mixed up. Let's see. How far is this maneuver? We were supposed to do this maneuver 7 course of a solar path is actually not that much. However, this which is bad. So I'm gonna just give it a little bit of time. Have anything else major going on, and just see if it eventually gets into contact of Kerbin, because it may be the hours through the day and not for the whole day. J10 engines, using those before they moved it up the tech tree. So I'm just letting this get through almost the whole Kerbal day, just to see, does this eventually get into contact window? So I don't want to time warp it too much. But change. So yeah, this is dead. This is a dead little craft. We tried. You tried, my friend. Little Sunset 2 is now going to fly around doing nothing until we get a very powerful relay in place to pick that up, if that even works. Alright, I'm getting near. Is there anything else I needed to do before we cut off stream? I'm running past our usual 2-hour mark by quite a ways. I've been doing that a lot lately. I could check on our miner and see how it's doing. That might actually be worth doing here. Check on our Minmus lander. And then once that's done, I'll go between all our different stations and check on those. I did also, I think, have some science even on the Deep Space Gateway. And I need to get the transfer vehicle back from Minmus as well. The module transfer vehicle. However, I'm not that worried about that one. That one's in an independent orbit that is probably perfectly safe as it is. And I don't think I need many new modules on Minmus Station. Wow, this is doing a very bad job of mining. Because we've got 2 tanks, they're loading evenly. At least this radiator's doing a good job. % thermal efficiency. Mining here. For a minute it was not actually showing and broken on us for a minute. Maybe that's why. Sure would have been nice if would have been able to find a better for mining. Alright, let's do it quick and get all the science from those sent down. And I think that's going to be stream. Alright, so Deep Space Gateway first. Not a lot of... Yeah, 16. Okay. For down. Which we just pulled off. We just pulled off our crew. And Captain America's asking, what do we do with the ore? So, with the ore, what we do is we bring that up to the processing lab on the Deep Space refine fuel. So that is going to be what we're using to refuel our vehicles destined for other planetary bodies, which is going to be kind of fun. Why does this have a maneuver node on it? It's weird. But as I said, this station now, we're down to our last 4 crewmen, just 4 scientists, Ag and Cambo, and they're just doing the research of all the science we gathered with the landers. We're actually kind of done with the moon for a while. I never did get polar landings, but change. And that's going to be a pain in the butt. But they're doing a pretty darn good job with the research right now. They still have lots of which actually have to be worth doing now. So there's another surface sample we're going to end up adding into the lab. Another 40 days worth of data. Temperature scan. Crew report, 125. Process 25 data. So I'm trying to figure out how this converts. I guess it's this number. Not really sure which of these is, or maybe it's this number, right? How much data probably. This one can still get 50 more data. So let's test this. So this one would do 40. See that during that? I have no idea. But still didn't go above our limit. So at least that looks pretty. This one's probably going to be 8 science, pretty good. We're getting about almost 10 science a day. And then on the second lab, we're getting just a little over 10 a day. Another 68 science to transmit down. Need to focus on Jebediah Kerman Station once more, which I don't know what this. And we'll transmit down any science we have on board there, which probably will not be a lot. I'm kind of running out of things to research on Kerbin. And it's harder to research stuff on Kerbin and then get it into orbit. So this one, just getting us 6.5 science a day, about 48 science to transmit down. All right. Back to Space Center. Check out how much science that gives us between all the different stations. I probably will need additional labs, come to think of it, for Minmus.